The morning light crept in quietly, the way it always did in that small apartment, but what it revealed this time stopped his heart cold. He woke up with a strange weight on his chest, the warmth of another presence too close to be a dream. His breath caught when he realized there was someone beside him, someone breathing softly, wrapped not in her own clothes but in his old, faded work shirt. As his eyes adjusted, the truth hit him like a sudden fall from a great height. The most powerful female CEO in the city, a woman whose name could move markets and silence boardrooms, was asleep in his bed. In his shirt. And the moment she opened her eyes and spoke, his entire world froze in place. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one unexpected moment can change a life forever, take a second right now to like this video, share it with someone who loves emotional stories, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the heart. He was a single dad long before that morning ever arrived, long before his name crossed paths with hers. Life had reduced him to routines and responsibilities, to survival rather than dreams. Every morning began before sunrise, with the soft alarm he barely needed anymore. He would rise quietly so as not to wake his young daughter, preparing her school uniform, packing her lunch, and leaving notes she could read later when she woke up alone. The apartment was small, worn by years of careful living, but it was clean, warm, and filled with the quiet love of a father who had learned to carry both roles without complaint. He worked multiple jobs, often cleaning offices at night and doing maintenance work during the day, whatever kept food on the table and lights on. His hands were rough, his back always sore, but his heart was steady. His daughter was everything. The night before that unbelievable morning had been one of exhaustion and chance colliding. He had been called in late to help with a problem at a corporate building downtown, one of those glass towers he usually only saw from the outside. A sudden power issue, a mess left behind by a careless contractor, and he had been the one to fix it because he never said no to extra work. That was where he saw her, not as the untouchable CEO the news spoke about, but as a woman alone in a silent building, sitting on the floor of her office, her head in her hands. Stress had carved lines into her face that no makeup could hide, and the confidence she wore so publicly had cracked in private. He hadn't known who she was at first. To him, she was just another tired human being crushed by something invisible. Fate has a strange way of ignoring social boundaries. He helped without asking questions, brought her water, stayed longer than required to make sure everything was safe. Somewhere between the humming lights and the quiet halls, something shifted. She was overwhelmed, dealing with pressures that went far beyond business, burdens she couldn't share with anyone in her world. When she suddenly felt dizzy and weak, pride finally lost to reality. The storm outside worsened, transportation shut down, and before logic could catch up, circumstances pushed them both into a situation neither had planned. He offered the only thing he had to give, a safe place to rest until morning. Now, as dawn filled the room, he lay frozen, afraid to move, afraid to breathe too loudly. His mind raced with fear and confusion. He thought of his daughter asleep in the next room, of rumors, of how easily a man like him could be misunderstood. He thought of how fragile his life was, how one wrong moment could shatter everything he had built so carefully. And then she stirred, her eyes meeting his with a calm that felt unreal. She didn't scream. She didn't panic. She didn't look embarrassed or ashamed. Instead, she looked at him with a softness he had never seen on her face before, not in the media, not in the stories people told. Wrapped in his shirt, she looked smaller, more human, stripped of power and titles. What she said then wasn't loud or dramatic, but it carried the weight of truth. She told him she hadn't slept that peacefully in years. She told him she felt safe. Those words hit him harder than any accusation ever could. Safe. No one had ever said that to him before, not in that way. He had spent his life protecting others, shielding his daughter from pain, but no one had ever acknowledged the quiet strength it took. The room felt too small for the emotions rising in his chest. He didn't know how to respond, so he stayed still, listening, trying to understand how the world had shifted so quickly. As the morning continued, reality slowly returned. She noticed the drawings on the fridge, the child's shoes by the door, the small signs of a life built around love rather than ambition. Something in her changed as she moved through that modest space. The luxury she lived in suddenly felt distant and hollow. She saw the sacrifices written into every corner of that apartment, the way everything had been arranged to make a little girl feel safe and loved. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't being admired or feared. She was simply witnessing. His struggle had always been invisible to the world. Being a single father meant carrying guilt like a shadow, wondering if he was enough, if his daughter noticed his tired eyes, if she felt the absence of a mother too deeply. He worked himself into the ground to compensate, to ensure she never felt lacking. And yet, standing there with the most powerful woman in the city wearing his shirt, he felt smaller than ever. He didn't belong in her world. He never had. But something unexpected happened in the days that followed. She didn't disappear back into her glass tower and forget him. She came back, not with promises or charity, but with curiosity. She wanted to understand his life, his routines, his sacrifices. And in doing so, she began to question her own. The walls she had built around herself started to crack as she watched him balance parent-teacher meetings with night shifts, exhaustion with patience, fear with hope. Slowly, change began, not like a dramatic explosion, but like sunlight creeping into a dark room. Opportunities appeared that weren't handouts, but recognition. His skills, long ignored, were acknowledged. His dedication, once invisible, was valued. And through it all, his daughter watched with wide eyes as her father stood a little taller, smiled a little more, believed a little deeper in himself. For her, being near that small family healed something she didn't know was broken. Success had given her everything except peace. In his quiet strength, she found something real. Not a fairy tale, not perfection, but honesty. Two worlds that should never have met found balance in each other, not because of wealth or status, but because of shared humanity. As time passed, that morning became more than a shocking memory. It became the moment everything changed. The moment a single dad realized his worth went far beyond survival. The moment a powerful woman remembered what it felt like to be seen without expectation. And the moment a little girl gained a future shaped by hope instead of fear. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe even a little more in kindness, resilience, and unexpected connections, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. And before the story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with the words, "Second chances matter," if you believe that life can change in one single moment of kindness. Because sometimes, it's not power or money that changes a life. Sometimes, it's a worn shirt, a quiet morning, and words that remind us we are safe, valued, and never as alone as we think.